Warhammer Plus has had 4 weekly content releases now, so I think that's a pretty good indicator of what we can expect over the course of a month. I will say that the Warhammer TV app is laying completely unused by me since last week because there was so little to watch. I do hope that changes in the future, but I'm not going to bang on about it every week because I think everyone knows by now that it was a really slow start. I had a ton of comments on my week 3 video, and a lot of people brought up points that I hadn't even considered. What if you're not into minis? Then the value of the subscription goes down drastically. In that case, a lot of people said that they would wait a few months, subscribe for a month, watch all the content, and then unsubscribe. And if you only do that once a year, that would save you about £45. It's a valid strategy and not something that Games Workshop can do much about. You see the same content as everyone else, it's just delayed for a few months. Me personally, I'm rubbish at avoiding spoilers, so if I waited a few months, I'd probably go and read every single spoiler going. Nothing would be a surprise, and it wouldn't be as enjoyable for me, so that's why I'm subscribed for the year. Another good point was that Games Workshop can't rely on FOMO, fear of missing out, with digital content. I mean, this isn't an exclusive mini or a big box game that's going to run out of stock in 2 days. This is something that people will be able to go back to again and again and watch whenever they want and subscribe whenever they want. Can you imagine the uproar if Games Workshop decided to make certain shows exclusives to people that were only subscribed for a year? It would be exterminatus. I know in my past few videos I've been pretty vocal about Games Workshop not having enough content on Warhammer Plus, but I do believe they're making moves to rectify it, albeit very slowly. Nick Baton from the Warhammer TV painting show has decided to move full-time to Battle Report, so I'm hoping that we get more content from there, as I think there will always be 2 full-time employees working on the Battle Report side of things. It can only mean more frequent reports for us, and as I've mentioned before, I do like Nick Baton. He's one of us, he's a hobbyist. If you follow him on Twitter, you'll see that he's got a great passion for the hobby, and I trust him to do a good job. I did a bit of investigative work and checked the Games Workshop jobs page to see if there was anything else related to Warhammer Plus, and sadly there wasn't. What was there though was Nick Baton's old job as a Warhammer TV presenter, so that means that they're not abandoning their YouTube strategy, which is a good thing for people that aren't subscribers. So let's get into the releases this week, and you'll be surprised to know I'm not disappointed. I think there's just about enough content to keep us going. The one thing that I wasn't too happy about was Lore Masters didn't come back this week. I thought after it debuted last week it would keep going on a weekly basis, but that isn't the case. I really want to see if the Abaddon format is the way that they're going to go, with maybe keeping it a bit light on details, or if they could go in a wee bit more in depth on things. That would be my preference, to really do a deep dive on something so that we can all find out about it. The battle report is 84 minutes, and that is something that you can paint to. It's a narrative report based in the Garden of Ajax, and Ajax is one of the 500 worlds from Ultramar. The first thing to notice is the board is absolutely stunning, and it was built especially for this battle. It's still just GW terrain, but it's very nicely done. With the amount of effort that it looks like has gone into these, I can maybe understand why they aren't weekly, but I'm not letting them off the hook that easily. The interaction between the players, Patrick and Nick, was much better this time. I felt they were injecting more of their personalities into it. Some of the bits were actually genuinely funny, and I actually really enjoyed it. As I've mentioned every other time, the production values are absolutely top notch. From the graphical overlays to the room that they're fighting in, everything is the perfect setting for Warhammer 40k. They're beginning to get away from the feeling of a learn to play to an actual competitive battle, which is great. This week's masterclass is True Metallic Gold. It's really tricky to get gold looking good, and this shows the subtlety that's required to get really fantastic looking gold on your miniatures. It looks like Retributor armour, Reichland Flesh Shade, all that kind of thing, just isn't acceptable anymore. Well, that's my techniques out the window. My only criticism is that it doesn't show the final result on a finished miniature. Sure, the armour looks nice, but you can't actually gauge how good it looks because there's still bits that are the undercoat colour. So I think if they could finish off a model and show how good it looks as a complete miniature, that would be a lot better. Now, this week's Angels of Death was a disappointment. Just kidding, it was brilliant as usual. There's so much to see in this episode. They've introduced a major character, I'm not going to say who, but it was fantastic seeing him on screen. He wasn't quite how I imagined him, but it made sense the way he was portrayed. I'm not exaggerating when I say this series has added so much to my hobby experience, from rousing speeches before battles, to chit-chat between soldiers on missions, to how the more powerful units present themselves in a fight. It's opened my mind to the whole universe of Warhammer 40k. It makes me think about the why of a battle rather than just the objectives. As a Blood Angel fan, I feel really lucky to get this kind of look at the chapter. It almost feels illegal. Yes, I've read about all this kind of stuff countless times in Black Library books, but to see it come to life in this way is just incredible. This is 40k and I can't recommend it enough. I know I'm going on and on about it, but I love this series. It's exactly how I would imagine things, and I love it. I can't say any more than that. So Warhammer Vault's up next. We've got 4 new White Dwarfs and the Quest for Gal Maraz book with all the rules stripped out of it. I really loved this book when I read it, and I would highly recommend giving it a wee read through. You don't need to like Stormcast or anything, it's still a good story. So let's review what we've had for the first month, and I'm going to read this because I can't remember it all to say it into camera. We've had 4 Angels of Death, 3 Hammer and Bolter, 3 40k battle reports, 1 AOS report, 4 masterclass shows and 1 Lore Masters. There's also 39 learn to play videos from various systems, as well as 29 painting basics videos. Warhammer Vault has given us 30 issues of Warhammer Visions, 20 White Dwarfs and 15 lore only books. So Warhammer Vault's actually starting to look really healthy. I think if we had had 4 of each show by now, then you wouldn't have heard me complain one single bit. Obviously Angels of Death is the high point by a country mile here. It is amazing. Battle reports are getting there. I've actually enjoyed each one more than the last one. I was disappointed that Lore Masters didn't continue, as I mentioned before. Masterclass is good. I'm going to try a lot of those techniques and hopefully it'll level up my painting a wee bit. I personally expected a little bit more from month 1 considering how much it was hyped, but looking at those numbers there, it is actually not that bad. Everything seems to be going in the right direction, although I still get the feeling that we're being drip fed. That's it for my week 4 review of Warhammer Plus. So once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.